Flesh and bone. Fade in. Exterior, mountain town, street, day. Steam billows up from the hood of a black SUV as it moves through a slushy rain. Faded small town storefronts stare out at the vehicle. Interior, exterior, black SUV, traveling, day. Caleb LaRoche, 35, sits in an orange jumpsuit in the back seat. Tattoos cover his scarred arms. His bald head has the word flesh tattooed on one side, the symbol and on his forehead and bone on the other side. His eyes are closed as his head sways back and forth. The black SUV parks behind a blue and white police SUV. Snow-capped mountains are a backdrop to a cold, slushy drizzle. A very fit Charles Chuck Jenkins, 40, and his plainclothes partner get out of the SUV. Jenkins opens the back door, hand over his holstered weapon. Interior, exterior, black SUV, parked, day. Jenkins pulls Caleb out of the car. His feet are chained together with a chain that leads up to his handcuffed hands. Interior, exterior, blue and white police SUV, day. In the front seat, Sheriff Dan Peterson, 45, eats a breakfast sandwich that drips ketchup onto his fat belly. His deputy, Linda Grimes, 28, smiles, pats his chin with a napkin. They watch from the police SUV as the men approach. Sheriff gets out of the vehicle, sips on a coffee. He points to Caleb's bare feet. Irritated, he mumbles through his last bite.
It's 30 degrees.
Sign the release and you can buy him some booties.
The sheriff, with a smirk on his face, opens the back door of his SUV that has a cage screen behind the driver's seat. Jenkins pushes Caleb in and locks the chain on a metal bar behind the sheriff's seat. He drops the handcuff keys in the sheriff's shirt pocket.
All yours.
Caleb stares at Grimes with an eerie smile. She turns away. Jenkins' partner gestures to the sheriff to sign the release.
Still made out to the penitentiary.
Jenkins crosses out the penitentiary's name. He gazes at sheriff's name tag. He scrawls his name over the penitentiary's name.
Not like we anticipated this.
Sheriff quickly scratches his name. Jenkins reaches over and rips off a copy before his partner hands it to the sheriff.
Seems like he's got you boys running scared.
Listen, the son of a bitch murdered 12 people that we know of. You wanna...
No. You listen, asshole. I don't want a nothing. I'm only out here in this shit on a Saturday because you clowns can't keep your car in one fucking piece.
Sheriff takes a look back at Grimes, pulls up his pants over his fat belly, then gets up close to Jenkins. Exterior, street, day. Sheriff, with a grin, guides Jenkins away from his vehicle. He disdainfully waves Jenkins forward with a below-the-waist motion. He points across the street.
Samuel service station over there. We'll fix your radiator.
Jenkins ambles towards the service station with his partner. He gazes back at Sheriff, shakes his head, and vents.
This guy is straight out of Smokey and the Bandit.
Jenkins just stares at Sheriff, walks back to his car.
He should stay in federal custody.
His partner grabs his arm and leads him away.
Ain't our call. Let's get this fixed so we can leave this podunk town.
Interior, Sheriff SUV, parked, day. Sheriff gets in his SUV. He gestures to Deputy Grimes.
Log him in our custody, Linda. 10:23 a.m.
Sheriff glares at Caleb in the rearview mirror, drives off. Interior, Sheriff SUV, traveling, day. The vehicle moves along a winding mountain road. Caleb stares at Sheriff's eyes in the rearview mirror.
You may want to spend your last few moments of freedom looking at something else beside my eyes.
Caleb still glares at Sheriff's eyes in the mirror. Sheriff stares at the words on Caleb's head. He smiles.
They say you're clairvoyant.
Caleb looks out the window and chuckles. Grimes gazes back at him. Caleb gets a peek at her name tag. She turns back around to avoid eye contact. Sheriff, cocky, glares in the mirror.
So, I guess you can see you're gonna burn in hell.
Caleb laughs.
Ah! You mean, like, for sinning?
Sheriff makes a gesture with his head like, no, duh.
I ain't no mind reader. I just pay attention to details.
Details?
Yeah? Like, I know now you are a religious man. I also see your wedding ring is 2 sizes too small for your fat fingers.
Sheriff glares at Caleb's eyes in the mirror. Caleb smiles and looks out the window.
Bet you have one fat-ass wife, too.
Sheriff's jaw tightens, peers at Caleb, and then to Grimes.
Not gonna play your little games.
Not my game, Sheriff. You asked me a question.
What question?
About burning in hell?
Sheriff gazes at his wedding ring and flexes his fingers.
That ring feeling a little tight, Sheriff?
Sheriff glares back at Caleb. He glances over to Grimes.
Figure you married maybe 20 plus years ago? Girlfriend since, what, 7th or 8th grade?
Caleb chuckles as he looks back out the window.
Bet you were drilling her as soon as you could get a hard on.
Caleb, with the voice of a Sunday morning preacher, yells out,
Sinning in the eyes of the Lord.
Caleb pulls forward as far as his restraints let him.
Then you both got bored with your sex life and you got fat.
Sheriff fumes. He nods his head towards Deputy Grimes.
Show a little respect.
Caleb laughs a little more creepy.
Oh, Deputy Grimes. Well, what do you think, Linda? It is Linda.
Grimes ignores him. Caleb looks back and forth at the back of their heads and smiles.
You two good friends?
Sheriff and Grimes stoically look at each other. Silence.
See, I feel someone as homely as Linda here had to do something special to get this job. I'm guessing she was from around here, and no good-looking boy was gonna take her away. Nice of you to help her out, Sheriff. Real kind.
Shut the fuck up already.
Soon as I finish answering your question, Sheriff.
Caleb glares back and forth at them.
I noticed she moved the heat vent that was tilted towards the middle of the seat to where she is sitting now.
Sheriff and Grimes glance at each other with a guilty stare.
My guess is she usually sits closer and gives you hand jobs or little knob polishing.
Sheriff, enraged, drives a little faster. The tires squeal.
No reason to get upset, Sheriff. I'm just trying to answer the question. Can I see that I'm gonna burn in hell?
Caleb lunges forward as far as he can and spits at Sheriff.
Absolutely, right along with your hypocritical sinning ass.
Sheriff takes his eyes off the road, glares back at Caleb.
Sheriff.
Exterior, SUV, road, day. A male hitchhiker, 25, with a loaded pack is on the road. Sheriff swerves to miss him and the SUV tumbles down a cliff. Exterior, roadside canyon, day. Tree branches crack as the vehicle tumbles. It ends upside down with the handcuff bar breaks free from the seat. The chain between Caleb's feet cuffs and handcuffs snaps. The battered vehicle comes to a stop and smolders as the wheels spin around on the upside down vehicle. Silence except for the sound of the car hissing. No movement by anyone in the vehicle. Deputy Grimes is dead with her eyes wide open. Interior, exterior, Sheriff's SUV, crashed, day. A banged-up Caleb drags himself out of the SUV. Gasoline leaks onto the ground and pools. Sheriff is unconscious and his arm is bent backwards, broken. Caleb crawls over to Sheriff and awkwardly reaches into his shirt pocket with his handcuffed hands to get the keys. Sheriff suddenly grabs Caleb's arm. Caleb smiles at the sheriff and twists his broken arm around, enjoying the crackling sound. He wobbly stands up and laughs. He takes the keys and unlocks the handcuffs and chains. He raises his arms up and marvels to himself that he is okay.
See, Sheriff? My daddy broke my bones so many times, they can't be broke no more.
Caleb giggles. It turns into a deep belly laugh. Exterior, roadside canyon, day.
Hey!
Caleb turns around and the hitchhiker wears a wool beanie and wields a large machete-like knife. He carries a large pack. Caleb slowly approaches the man, who backs away with the large blade as his hand nervously shakes. A large hawk squeals overhead and distracts the man. Caleb barrels into him like a linebacker who makes a hard tackle. The man squirms, but Caleb overpowers him. He grinds his fingers into the man's eye socket as he screams out. Blood flows out. Caleb dodges the blood and chokes the man. The man dies, and Caleb smiles and looks back at Sheriff. Caleb licks his bloody fingers.
Don't want to get any blood on his clothes. Well, I mean my clothes.
Caleb undresses and stands naked, his tattooed body horribly scarred from head to toe. He undresses the hitchhiker's body. He dresses the hitchhiker in his orange jumpsuit. He puts the chains and handcuffs on him. He takes one of the chains and lock and tosses it in the camping pack. Caleb smiles as the gas pools around the trapped sheriff. He laughs uncontrollably. He puts on the hitchhiker's clothes. He laughs harder as he pulls over the hitchhiker's body and crams him in the upside-down back seat.
You know, Sheriff, what are the chances?
He quickly searches around in the large camping pack. He smiles, and Caleb whips around and flicks on a lighter.
That you would burn before me!
Sheriff's eyes bulge with fear. Caleb lights the gas, and the vehicle rages into an inferno as Sheriff screams. Caleb puts on the hitchhiker's beanie over his tattooed head and walks away with all the hitchhiker's gear. He brushes a small tree branch over his footprints until he disappears deep into the forest. Interior, exterior, pickup truck, street, day. A petite, Sherry Lawton, 24, and an athletic-looking Brad Kincaid, 25, who wears a minor league baseball cap, pull up and park in front of a small office. The pickup truck is loaded up with camping gear. Dr. Beatrice Barnes, Ph.D., is mounted on a brass sign on the front door of the office.
You sure you don't want to come in? She's easy to talk to.
Brad walks over to a coffee house with outside seating. He sits down at an outside table. A waitress approaches. He smiles at Sherry and makes a puppy dog face.
Come here.
Sherry, anxious, takes a step closer to Brad. He grabs her arm affectionately. He pulls her onto his lap. She smiles.
Gotta go. She came in just for me.
Brad kisses her on the cheek.
Just need a little more time, baby.
Sherry lifts up his cap. She runs her hand through Brad's hair. The waitress rolls her eyes with an "oh really" look.
These episodes scare me. The other night at your parents' house, your dad...
You just got under my skin. I just needed some air. Couldn't breathe.
Sherry gets up. She points towards the office. She turns.
She can help.
Brad smiles at Sherry. He gets up and rubs his forehead on hers, and they both smile.
You're the only help I need.
The waitress, frustrated, walks away.
Come in with me, please.
I'll be here.
Sherry turns her head as if beckoning.
Just get her blessing, let's go.
Brad sighs. Sherry gives him one last pleading stare.
I'm fine.
He blows her a kiss and waves goodbye. Brad catches the waitress's eye. He yells over at her.
Extra hot mocha with an added shot.
Sherry goes in the door. Brad pulls out a $5 bill and puts it on the table. He drops a panic attack self-help card along with a dogged ear picture of young Little League boys. Brad picks up the photo and smiles at it. A boy with the name Bad Brad on the back of his uniform sticks out his tongue and has his eyes crossed. He is with 4 other little boys, and they are dressed in the same Little League uniforms. The other boys make goofy faces and hold up a trophy, candy bars, and juice boxes.
Fun times.
Brad's smile turns to a frown as he stares into the distance.